Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by the big man Bakar, who has activated his wildcard for Game Week 30. Bakar, FPL is back. It's seemingly been gone for months. You were just saying off camera how it feels almost like we're in Game Week 1 territory. We've not thought about the game for a while, but your wildcard has actually been active for quite a while, despite what we've just seen over the weekend. So yeah, it's active. Give us a little rundown about why you activated it, how you're thinking, the current state of play with FPL in general, and then we're going to go into your team and build your current draft position by position.
Yeah, hello, Jack. Hello to all the listeners and viewers. It's been a while since we've done this, so yeah, it does feel like Game Week 1. Yeah, my wild card, I think it's by the end of Game Week 29 when I was sort of making my transfers, I had a lot of flag players in my team. Dango was one of them. I sold Salah to buy Haaland. I sort of was coming to the realization at the end of Game Week 29 that I'd very likely have to wildcard in Game Week 30. And that's why one of the transfers I actually made in 29 was to sell Salah for Bruno. And I actually wanted to get Bruno for that Leicester fixture. That worked out well. But I sort of had the idea that I was going to wildcard this week anyway. And now that Haaland is injured, it's pretty much locked in for, I assume, the significant majority of FPL managers. I think it should be locked in for a lot of people because there are a lot of players to jump on this week who have good fixtures, who then have doubles later as well. And I think a lot of us have a very good idea of how the doubles and blanks will fall in Game Week 33, Game Week 34, to a certain extent, even for Game Week 36 and 37 at this point. So okay. I don't think that there's much point in waiting anymore now, especially at this stage of the season where there's just like 8 game weeks left. I feel as if this feels like a very good time to attack, especially for those of us with chips available.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, for those of you out there that might be sort of out of the loop of what's been happening in the sort of football / FPL world over the past 2.5 weeks, don't worry, because I'm also in that boat, right? I've watched games. I enjoyed the FA Cup, but even at this moment in time, I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing with my team. I think I'm going to be forced into a wild card for the reasons that Bakar's just said. Haaland injury now is tough. If you didn't see, he picked up an injury against Bournemouth in the FA Cup, had to go off, and then was seen leaving the game with a boot and crutches. So I don't think he's going to be playing. So yeah, I don't know what else to say really, apart from the fact that you wildcarded a long time ago. But your team's up on screen. And as you said, is everyone now going to be sort of forced into a wildcard? Is there any reason not to wildcard this week, or do you think that most people will just have to?
I think a lot of people have to. So coming to my own team, I can sort of speak on behalf of my own team. Haaland is injured. I had Haaland. I didn't have a route to Isak. I did not have any more Arsenal players apart from Gabriel. Most importantly, I did not have any Palace players, and they're playing Southampton this week. And now, given how the fixtures are likely to fall, they could actually have 3 double game weeks between now and the end of the season. So wow. When you combine that with the fact that they're playing Southampton this week, it just is too much of immediate points gain to sort of pass up, in my personal opinion. And then I didn't have Salah. And while I do think that going for Haaland over Salah, if Haaland had been fit, would have been logical. But now it's sort of difficult to justify because with Haaland not in the game, you do have that kind of money to spend where you can easily afford Salah. And then without Haaland playing Leicester at home, Salah automatically jumps out as being one of the best captains this week. So yeah, I think I will revert to at least one of Salah or Palmer, and if Haaland is out, which seems to be the case. I actually want to quickly give you a very quick recap of how the doubles and blanks are likely to fall, because I've been sort of out of the loop relatively myself, and I assume a lot of you feel this way, where you sort of switched off for FPL for 2 to 3 weeks and you don't exactly have much of a memory of what is going to happen.
Okay, let's do that. I've got the fixtures on screen. These are Ben Crellin's fixtures, as you can see at the bottom, in partnership with Fantasy Football Hub. That is how much we rate him. We love the guy. And look, these are the fixtures on screen. Key across the top as well. It looks a little bit confusing, but this is the most likely sort of outlook for the rest of the season. Anyway, let's go for it, Bakar.
Yes, in Game Week 32, we're going to have 2 doubles for Crystal Palace and Newcastle. I mean, this is guaranteed. This is definitely going to happen. In Game Week 33, as things stand, it is very likely that 4 teams will double. Those 4 teams are Crystal Palace, Manchester City, Aston Villa, and Arsenal. Now, all those 4 teams that I mentioned who are going to double in 33 are then going to blank in 34. So a lot of us, for example, who will be wildcarding this week, will very likely load up on the double game weekers in 33, which is why we might have to free hit in game week 34, just by default because all of those players will be blanking in 34. Then in game week 36, we're gonna have doubles for the FA Cup teams that progress. So, if, for example, if City beat Forest and if they progress to the next round, City will have a double, and so will Bournemouth. And then the other sort of set of doublers will come depending on the result of the Aston Villa Crystal Palace game. My point being that at least one of Crystal Palace or Aston Villa will double in 33 and 36. And very much like the situation we face in Game Week 34, where the Game Week 33 teams that double in 33 will blank in Game Week 34, similarly, the Game Week 36 teams that double in 36 will then blank in 37 as well. So while a lot of us will load up on double game weekers for 33 to bench boost, and then we'll probably free hit in 34. At the same time, we also have to sort of realize that we're likely to face a very similar scenario later in the season as well,
Okay.
where some of the teams we've already loaded up on, for example, City or Palace or Aston Villa or Bournemouth, will then flank in 37 as well. So my point being that one of these weeks, 34, 37, is going to be very, very difficult to navigate without having, either a lot of free transfers in hand or either having that free hit chip in hand. So we're entering that stage of the season where, planning becomes absolutely critical. We've got to nail down our chip strategy. I think bench boosting in 32 is a strategy for me as well that I can potentially look at, but it's sort of clouded by the fact that I still have the triple captaincy left. And because I have the
Yeah.
triple captaincy left, I would ideally want to use it on someone like an Isak for that double in 32, where Newcastle are playing, United at home and Crystal Palace at home. All things considered, I still, despite the information that we have, I still haven't completely sort of nailed or locked down a strategy as of now. I think with the information available, I'm likely to free hit in 34, potentially use the triple captain in 32 and use the bench boost in 33. But it's not set in stone because of a lot of the factors that I've mentioned. There are a lot of moving parts over here. And I had, the core of the team was relatively well settled before Haaland had got injured. But, a lot of these things will depend on Haaland as well. For example, if Haaland is needed by game week 33, that suddenly increases the appeal of a game week 33 free hit chip. Let's say if Haaland is not available next 2 weeks and then he's back for 33, you might want him in as the captain. So it's sort of tough to nail down a strategy without having that relevant information available. But I will try and sort of walk you through a wildcard team which covers most bases, and it's actually sad that a lot of the hard work that a lot of us have done thinking about a team has sort of gone out of the window in the last 48 hours with the Haaland injury. Yesterday was actually my birthday, and I really wasn't looking forward to any chaos happening. And today is Eid as well, so I'm sort of busy celebrating with
Oh,
my family. So I literally will have just Tuesday to think about a wildcard team and nail down my chip strategy, which is far from ideal, but it is what it is. I just think it's the best strategy for my team, and I hope I can sort of nail the correct team.
I mean, we always knew that like this period of time was going to be pretty hectic because we had the 2 weeks before the international break where there was actually a limit to what we could really do because the FA Cup fixtures on the weekend were so important, and then we were only going to have a couple of days anyway. Same for next game week, but I mean it's transpired that it's been even more hectic than that. And as you say, I mean you've had your birthday and Eid. That's ridiculous. Happy birthday, by the way. And then yeah, I mean just for someone that has nothing going on, it's still pretty hectic. I don't know what I'm doing. So with that all being said, I think the only thing we can do is then get into your wild card and see what the draft is currently saying. We're building this, as always, on Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool. If you still don't know what this is at this point in the season, then where have you been? But what's going to happen is we're going to put the players in position by position, player by player, and then that's going to give us a team rating at the end. And yeah, that will help us to judge how good Bakar's team is. Okay, mate. Whenever you're ready, let's go. I'm very interested to see who's going to be in this as someone that hasn't even built a draft yet.
Yeah, you want to start position by position, or should I run you through some of the nail players that I have? I mean, I'm open to either.
Let's do let's go for the nailed players then. Actually, if you have, because as you said, I mean, you haven't had so much time to think about this, and this might change. So if we start with the nailed players and then just give the reasons as to why they are nailed, I think that'll be interesting for people like me that are a bit out of the loop and aren't quite sure where to go.
Sure. So I'll start from the defense. Gabriel is the first one. I don't see a world where I go without Gabriel on the wild card. Arsenal have a decent run of fixtures from this point onwards, and then they have a double in 33. So, by all accounts, you'd want to have at least one or two Arsenal defenders in the defense. I mean, if you look at the next three fixtures alone, I mean, Fulham at home, Everton away, Brentford at home, they're probably two clean sheets out of three in the next two in the next three game weeks, and then there's a double to follow in 34 as well, which is very likely. So, I think I'd go with Gabriel as my first. I even have Saliba down as my second, and I doubt that I go away from him. I mean, the only scenario where I go away from Saliba is if I need funds, and I might go for someone like a Timber. But I think double Arsenal defense is pretty much set in stone in my team. So I'll go with Gabriel and Saliba to begin with. The third one I have is Guardiola from City, and I think he is someone I think had I not wildcarded, he was probably going to come in my team for Trent this week anyway, because he's the only sort of City defender that stands out in terms of security of minutes. And with City now having Leicester at home this week, and then having a good run of fixtures, including that double in Game Week 3 and potentially even in Game Week 36, I just have to pick a City defender. And that player that I want is Guardiola.
Just before we get into the next player, just looking at the fixtures here from Ben Crellin, obviously it says likely double game week. It's not 100% confirmed yet, this game week in 33, although the rearranged games that now can't happen, obviously, because of the FA Cup, the next round of the FA Cup have to happen. So what's going on with that? What's, it says likely. Is that 100% nailed? Is it not? Where are we at with that?
So some of the fixtures in Game Week 33, I wouldn't exactly say up in the air, but they're like 90% certain to happen. So we've got to sort of play the probabilities in front of us. And all the fixture experts that I've spoken to share the same sentiment that these four teams, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, and Man City, are likely to double in 33.
Okay.
And then the Game Week 36 doublers, we will find out closer to the Game Week 35 deadline.
Sure. Okay.
Between now and let's say Game Week 34 or 35, we're not likely to receive any substantial information regarding the fixture scheduling as such.
Okay. All right. With that in mind, let's carry on.
So coming to the midfield, I have Sarr and Eze, both. I don't think I'd go without either of them.
Sarr and Eze. I mean, this is interesting because the Palace players are obviously they have that double coming up. Now, if it's 90% likely to be a double, the Palace players are massive here. So which three you go for, if you do go for three, is big.
Yeah. I was going to mention that exactly because I think one of the major reasons why wildcard was to have the Palace players in place for their double. And not only that, I wanted to have them in place for the Southampton fixture. I didn't have any of them in my pre-wildcard team. And, you saw how good they looked in the FA Cup against Fulham, as they scored a ridiculous goal. Saul scored as well. I think these two they sort of pick themselves by default. I think the third Palace player is relatively tricky to pick because you can opt for someone like a Henderson or Munoz or Mateta. I don't think I'll go for Munoz because there are other defenders that appeal as well. For example, if I mentioned Gabriel, Saliba, and Guardiola, that doesn't exactly leave me with a lot of space for someone like a Munoz because in most weeks I would be playing three at the back, right? So I just by default, I've sort of ruled Munoz out. I don't think I'd pick him. It will be one of Henderson or Mateta, and I think it's very likely going to be Mateta because he's back fit. And I think looking at some of the Crystal Palace fixtures, when you look at them, in most weeks, you can see them scoring goals, but the fixtures don't appear to be that good for defense. So after this week, for example, in Game Week 31, they have Brighton, then Man City, then Newcastle, then Bournemouth. Now, I don't exactly look at those fixtures and see clean sheets in them. So I think I will very likely go for someone like a Mateta as my third Palace player. He's going to be on penalties as well. And he's playing his back fit. So triple Palace attack for Southampton alone feels very, very tasty, let alone, looking at their potential triple, double.
Yeah, I think that's worth mentioning because a few people have actually messaged me saying, "Oh, is what's happening with Mateta? Is he back?" Yeah, he's back. He did play in the last game in the cup. Just checking how many minutes he played. But I mean, the point being that it wasn't like a fitness issue. He's not going to have lost any sort of cardiovascular fitness or any muscular damage from his injury. I think he'll be all right. And yeah, I think he's going to build his minutes back up, and I think he's a very good pick. Okay, so he actually played 79 minutes in the FA Cup. So I mean, yeah, he's pretty much back to his full minutes already. I think it's going to be hard not to go without him. I mean, for me, I actually love Daniel Munoz. You guys may know that I've had him in my team for a long time, and he's been one of my shining stars. And it's going to be hard not to include him. I think Sarr versus Munoz is going to be a debate for quite a lot of people. Why are you so keen on Sarr then over? I mean, you've said why you're not sure about the clean sheets, and your defense looks very strong anyway. But why Sarr?
He's cheap, and I mean, I fancy Palace for goals in most fixtures. At 5.6 million, I think he's excellent value. And when you look at some of the other midfielders, for example, someone like, Mitoma, Minte, etc., I think he's pretty much the standout player in that price bracket. So I think that's why I preferred him. And, when you have a midfielder at that price who's likely to have three doubles, it's really difficult to pass up.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of merits to including him. I actually prefer him over Eze for his price at this point, honestly.
Wow.
Because Eze is like 1.2 million more expensive, 1.1 million.
Imagine
So there's that as well.
Imagine Gameweek Bakar, Gameweek 1 Bakar hearing what Gameweek 30 Bakar's just said there. He would not believe his eyes, his ears. Crazy stuff. That's the beauty of FPL. Times change. All right, who is the next player that's nailed on then, if there is one?
Yeah, I think I'll definitely have Isak.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be my triple captain in 32, and the fixture this week is great as well. He just ticks a lot of boxes. Likely to have that double. He's definitely going to have that double in 32. So I'll see where I'm at after game week 2 with Isak, but he's going to be in my team for the next 3 game weeks on merit alone. Apart from that, it's tough to actually call someone nailed on. Even Salah. I mean, I might debate Palmer and see what Palmer gets me over Salah, but I think I'll probably very likely have Salah, but I don't think I'd consider him 100% still in my team. And Clivert, I guess, is also very close to being nailed on, but then again, he's like 80%, so I'm not sure whether to include him in this category. But I think you should fill in these players. I think Clivert and Salah. Clivert mainly because of the fixture this week, and because he's great value. He could have a double in game week 36 as well. And Salah because he's likely going to be my captain this week if I have him.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel annoyed. I feel aggrieved almost that we've sold Salah, lost a lot of money on him, and now instantly we're being forced to get him back. It was always the case that we did say this, that it was okay. Like we said, okay, look, there's a chance we might have to get him back on Wildcard, so you're okay losing the money. Didn't want to get him back a week later though. I mean, that is just a bit of a kick in the teeth. And I was really looking forward to the Haaland versus Leicester against the Salah versus Everton captain. I mean, you don't get those sort of captaincy big sort of swings or rivalries that often in the season, especially when you have someone as good as Salah that's been doing what he's been doing all year. So that would have been a lot of fun. It's a shame we're not going to have that. But yeah, what do you think about that? Just got to get him back.
Yeah, I think we probably need to get him in for the captaincy this week, I guess.
I mean, you said he's not nailed. You said he's not nailed though. So
he's not nailed because I mean, I do look at I do look at my team value. It's not the greatest. I might need funds, and if I do, I might pick someone like a Palmer. And then again, I don't really want to talk a lot about Palmer because we don't exactly have news over his fitness. But he's someone I'm still considering in my team. And then I want to talk a bit about Marmoush as well. I actually have Marmoush down as my third striker. I mentioned Mateta, I mentioned Isak. I'd have Marmoush in there. But again, this sort of comes down to the injury duration of Haaland's injury. Let's say if he's out for 3 to 4 weeks, I think I'd have Marmoush. But if he's only out for, let's say, a week or so, it's very unlikely that because it's a midweek fixture that we're going to get an accurate sort of timeline on Haaland's injury. But at the moment, given the fact that he left on crutches, it does not exactly feel great. So I think Marmoush is definitely someone I would like to own if he's playing as a number 9. He's going to be the main beneficiary of Haaland's absence, I would feel.
Interesting.
If let's say Haaland is expected to be fine in let's say 2 weeks, then I might skip Marmoush and go for someone like an Evan Nilsson because I don't want to be in a position where I'm using transfers to sell Marmoush later. So a lot of this comes down to what I expect Haaland's injury absence to be.
Yeah. Definitely a tough call. I mean, as you said, we've got limited information anyway. We're not going to really get that much more, I wouldn't think. I mean, we'll have a press conference, but I don't know. It's going to be quick. I wonder if there's even been scans yet that they know the results to. It only happened just late yesterday. So who knows? All right. Well, I've got to say that's for a starting 11, and we haven't done the goalkeeper yet, so we'll go to that in a second. But for the outfield players, it looks very strong. Like that's a fun team. There's a lot of like attacking talent in there. But
yeah, we have one midfielder left, two defenders left, and two keepers left.
Yeah.
Right. So coming to the midfielder, this could be one of Rogers or Mbomo, and I love Mbomo.
Oh.
I've owned him for the whole season, but I think uh, if I'm picking one, I might just go for a Villa player. I want to have at least one Villa sort of outfielder in my team because I mentioned that Villa will be doubling in 33, but then one of Palace or Villa will be doubling again in 36, and that's why I want to have as many Villa or Palace players as possible. And when I look at their outfield, I think Konsa and Rogers are the only one that appear nailed. I'm not even sure that Watkins will play all the games, especially with their European commitments that they have.
Yeah.
And with the new signings that they've made. So I think Rogers is going to be the outfielder that I pick. I still haven't ruled out Mbomo. I still actually have him in my team.
Okay.
I haven't sold him because I will lose a lot of value on him. So I'm not sure about letting go of him. But I mean, the fixtures for Brentford aren't exactly great and they're sort of unlikely to have a double. So I might as well just go for the cheaper midfielder and go for the doubler.
I just got to say quickly on Aston Villa. I mean, they've got a lot of fixtures coming up. Obviously, they play PSG in the Champions League, and the Southampton game is in the middle of that. So there might be some rotation there. But as you say, I think if anyone is going to be relatively nailed to play the majority of minutes, or at least start the majority of games, you would put Rodgers up there. I mean, he's been amazing this season, and he still is looking super strong. Obviously, they have more players now that could come in and rotate, and the likes of Asensio and Rashford for sure has been good. But yeah, I don't know. I think Rodgers is going to be close to my team, especially given what you're saying that one of Villa or Palace will play against Tottenham in that double game week to come. So.
And then the two defenders that I have, naturally, I have to maximize my Newcastle coverage. So I've gone with Burn and Livramento. Now, let's say if I pick someone like a Palmer over Salah, I can then potentially have Mbomo over Rodgers, or even have to appear over one of these guys because of his attacking threat. I could have to appear over one of these. But with this team, I think Burn and Livramento fit the structure well. They're going to offer tremendous value, I feel, for their price, especially with the double. Picking the keepers was relatively tricky, but I've actually gone with Martinez and Raya as my keepers. Martinez, again, because of the number of fixtures that Villa have coming up. And Raya, because of the double as well, because Arsenal have a great defense. The only sort of caveat I want to mention is, and I want to think a bit more about this, is that if I want to go Saka, then I might not want triple Arsenal defense.
Yeah.
And in my draft, I think I'm very likely going to have Gabriel Saliba. And if I do, then picking Raya would mean that I lock myself out of Saka. I mean, Saka could be someone I buy for Salah in Game Week 33. I'll likely have a look at Saka's minutes for the next 2-3 weeks before getting him, and if I do, I'll get him in Game Week 33. So I might go with someone like maybe even an Ederson over Raya, but then if I get Ederson, how will I get Haaland in? I'll probably have to sell Marmoush. So there are a lot of interlinked moving parts. I think the best way to sort of go about it is to have that core of 6 to 7 players in mind that you'll definitely have on the wildcard, and then build around it. So, for example, starting from the Palace players, I think is a good start because every wildcard team is going to have 3 Palace players because of the 3 doubles that they have coming up. Maybe 2 Arsenal defenders, Isak. That's a good start, and then sort of build around that.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a very, very strong team. My worry is that a lot of teams will look very similar. It's not really a worry; it's just fact. Which is, I guess, a little bit of a shame because it wasn't going to be like this. But what can you do? Also, you've only spent 100 million as well, so you have some money. If if teams like that have more team value, they have a little bit more space to maybe improve things, or maybe that's going to be the difference. But if it comes down to a Trippier versus a Livramento, it's not really that much fun. But sometimes that is the way in FPL. And if there is an optimal team and these are the teams that are doubling, then it's hard not to go with these players.
I do think that, another thing that can sort of change some of the fringe players in the team could be the bench boost strategy. For example, if you're bench boosting in 32, then the team could look a bit different from the bench boost in 33. You might want to have more Newcastle outfielders or players from them. If you're bench boosting in Gameweek 33, you're going to likely have more, let's say more Gameweek 33 doublers. So that's one of the reasons why I've picked someone like a Rogers and Martinez, because that would give me that extra edge in Gameweek 33. If you're bench boosting in 32, people might go for someone like a Pope, but I don't have Pope in my team because I'm currently building in this in mind of with the bench boost 33 consideration. That's why I have Ryan Martinez, who are from two teams that are doubling in 33. So all these things need to be sort of taken into account. And if hypothetically I decide to bench boost in 32, where will I triple captain? That's going to be another sort of tricky thing to guess. I'll probably have a triple captain in 33 then. So yeah, a lot of moving parts. I think actually for people who have the assistant managership left, the fixture scheduling has actually worked out well for them, because then now with the news of the fixture scheduling, they can leave their assistant managership for later, and then let's say in Gameweek 35, 36, use those chips, use that chip to get some possible doublers. Someone like Glasner could have a very good end to the season.
Absolutely. Okay, Bakar, here's the team on screen then, all locked in, all set up for the upcoming game week. Salah captain, of course. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that, but I think he is the standout captain. Perhaps Isak could be a shout, but looks very strong. A game week rating of 99%, a team rating of 93%, which is pretty good. 71.2 predicted points. Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of fixtures here are at home, and the ones that aren't are Southampton. So looks good. I really can't sort of argue with any of this. I think this is a very similar team to one that I'll end up going with on my wildcard, which is a little bit sad, I think. But there we go. What do you think about it overall? Would you be happy with 70 points this week?
I think so. I'm expecting close to that.
Yeah. Well, guys,
the main point is that the difference between my non-wildcard team and my wildcard team, I would expect it to be at least like 15 points. So this week alone just makes wildcarding worthwhile, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, as you can see at the top of the screen, guys, get your team rated for free by clicking the link in the description. You can do exactly what Bakar and I have just done and see if you can beat his team rating. If you're not sure about your wildcard, if you are on wildcard, if not, you can compare your current team to what a wildcard would be as well, all for free. Link down below. If you then want to take advantage of everything else, sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. Still a great deal. I would thoroughly recommend it. That is going to do it for this one. A bumper episode, half an hour, but so much to talk about. We've been away for a long time, so this is always going to be a long one. Thank you very much, Bakar, for giving us a bit more of knowledge about what's going on in the FPL world. I feel a bit more well-informed now and ready to go and make a wildcard draft of my own. And hopefully you guys do too. We will catch you on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and good luck for this game week.